to ones all night, to ones all day. It is going to be the one, the only L3 IRD, the bird getting in some words again. It is going to be the day of the 8th of October, 2012, and it is the 23rd episode of Learning League. We're hitting the 6th part of the Shifting Meta series. The 5th part, actually, of the Shifting Meta series. And it is the first blow. It is going to be L3RD again, guys. And, you know, it's been a really, really interesting weekend. Starting up with a lot of things that happened. Unfortunately for not, you know, the technical difficulties of the Riot Games World Championships. Pretty much that's what I'll say. Because it's kind of Riot's baby kind of thing. So, you know, they can't really do anything about all the internet problems that actually happen during the awesome event. And you know, just a little note before we actually go into the show and everything. Yeah, it's a thing with StarCraft 2 with a lot of games right now that actually don't have the LAN access, the kind of thing like, you know, just pretty much local area, you know, gaming, period. And it sucks that, you know, most of everything is just server based and, you know, online based, and, you know, there's a lot more vulnerabilities and security stuff like that. But also, you know, venues now, LA Live for example, or even over in Korea when they had it at Busan, it wasn't the greatest per se of connections in general, and there's a lot of problems over there as well, and as well as over in LA. So in general, I mean, yeah, right, I mean, they should be taking most of the blame for what happened during the weekend, but also, like, there's a lot of other consistencies or inconsistencies even with the world right now with the internet. You know, it's still evolving really fast, it's still growing, and there's still a lot of limitations on it as well. So definitely, I would say, you know, give them a little bit of slack, but then again, give Riot a lot of, you know, slack, or not a lot of slack, but a lot of, you know, concern, because, you know, they've thrown on this really big, huge event, and then, you know, stuff happens. But that's my 2 cents about that. The weekend was the weekend. Unfortunately for Saturday was Saturday, but we're going to be talking about the first 2 days, Thursday and Friday, and then next week we'll go complete the whole series by talking about Saturday, talking about it's either Tuesday or Wednesday when they're actually going to do the second part of the playoffs, and then the finals, which will be Saturday. So we're going to be going into the episode Learning League 23, final, for the first blow, sorry about that. The second to the last part of the Shifting Meta series happens today. It's all about the unique styles of the Oceanic groups, the Korean groups and the Chinese groups, and then the style of the Russian powerhouse Moscow 5. These are the top teams in the world, and we should try and figure out how these teams are getting such the advantages that they are, and such the advantages that, you know, they're making and such. We're going to be looking at first the Zubu Frost game versus the IG Invictus Gaming. Really quickly, if you didn't know, Invictus Gaming and Zubu Frost, they played each other a few times. I think Blaze actually played IG in the Nice Game TV's like Royal Matchup or Royal Battle or something like that, their show match series. But in general, IG and Zubu Frost, they have some like maybe technical games that they played against each other, but they haven't like been really televised or really known about it. So this is like the first game that we actually see of both teams actually playing against each other. And we do already start off with IG having that really cute Corki right here, Valkyrie in Overworld Cloud Templar. As really quickly, both teams are really noted for more aggressive playstyles, more of controlling the map and such. IG more actually a dive comp kind of thing. They literally do any aggression and take out anything on the team's weaknesses. You can see that over in the CLG NA versus Invictus Gaming game, and that was really good. And you can also see it right here in Zubu Frost. I mean, they know the timings, they know a tendency that Zubu Frost has with Cloud Templar, and they pick off First Blood over here and play that really aggressive playstyle. It's been noted for IG that they went over to North America. I mean, they're qualifying for IPL 5. I think they're qualified, or they're going to get in there. But they've been qualifying for it, and then they played against, I watched the Absolute Legends NA matchup versus IG, and IG just destroyed Absolute Legends. Like, they had no problem in taking it over just because of that, like, really in sync communication. And what Chinese teams, I kind of consider Taipei Assassins a Chinese team, and Saigon Jokers a like Garnet team as well. Like, their communication is up and above and beyond a lot of teams in the game of League of Legends period today. And just know, like, Invictus Gaming, even though they're pretty mainstay, they've played since WCG and such like that as well. They've actually had pretty new roster changes. They've added some new people as well. They've actually done such a great job together as a team that it really showed during this weekend, and I really respect them for that. For Zubu Frost, though, we do see, pretty much the mainstay of everybody in Zubu Frost, and then Locodogo left. So, literally they had the same kind of issue. They lost one player. IG lost, I think it was their top laner, and they switched PDD over to top lane, and the kid from top to technically bot, but you see him at top right now. But Zero Frost, they are a really strong team. The organization as well. Before Zero Frost was actually Zero Frost, they were known as MIG. MIG was a really good contender going into the WCG 2011 championships, pretty much. They were in the group stage. They got knocked out by, I think it was SK, I believe, or they got knocked out of the group stage though. I think they were going for the playoff stage, but they got knocked out there. And then Najin Sword, I think, was about the same area too, but they got knocked out as well. But they were a really strong team going into it, even though they were just built, I think, like a month or two before WCG actually started. And then once OGN started, people didn't really respect them in the beginning because, again, they didn't show like the greatest of greatnesses over in the World Cyber Games. But when they actually came up in the OGN, they were just creaming down teams. They beat down CLG NA. Back then it was called Counter Logic Gaming period, and like literally just destroyed and demolished them as well. And it looked like there was nothing that was going to stop them until they met Blaze, and Blaze won the first season. And then, Locotoco left. That was the AD carry back then. And he, wasn't I guess, a big mainstay for the team. I think all over, like, we've seen Korean players and stuff like that. The American playstyle probably of Locotoco kind of just got into the same kind of passion, same kind of instance, and that's what kind of stopped Locodogo from actually growing out even more. Even though I respect Locodogo as a player, he's just a really strong player as well. Just some lapses and instances, like how you can see Double F. He's probably one of the best AD carries, but sometimes he has some lapses of communication, lapses of instances in his his game style that kind of lead to bad games sometimes. So once they changed Gunwoong from top to I think it was top, yeah, top to bot, just like how they changed Kid to bot, it really changed the gameplay of Zubu Frost. And again, Zubu Frost, now one of the biggest teams in the world, is doing some really strong stuff. So I'm liking to see what's happening with Zubu Frost as well. So talking about this game, why is it such high level play? I mean, it is the World Championships, blah blah, and all that stuff. Invictus Gaming, like we said, aggressive playstyles. Zubu Frost, again, aggressive playstyles. Both teams probably haven't played themselves pretty much a lot, but with a Zubu Frost, kind of communication and coordination a little bit more than what Invictus Gaming has right now. Especially they had the lane swap over the top lane, they had the lane swap over the bot lane, and Shy, I won't spoil it for you, but Shy is somebody to watch out for in the championships, in the playoffs as well. He played pretty good during the group stage. He played pretty good and everything else during the group stage as well. I was about to say during the actual playoffs, but yeah, what happened with that. But it's something to really look out for if you have a really strong top laner, if you have a really strong bot lane, like say TSM, say who was it? World Elite. They have a really strong bot lane. you can really knock onto that notion that you want to either gank really hard for them. In this case, Shy has a 2v1 lane, so that's why they were up there, Zuby Frost over there to kind of help out Shy to get, around to where he would need some kills and stuff like that. Or if you have a really strong bot lane, you'll see in World Elite's case, they really, really camped that lane a little bit much, and it really, really worked out for them. So, and that is one of the high-level things that most teams do. I mean, TSM, they try to beat Chaos as much as they can as well. Just because, with the consistency of the high-level play from, the Ace All-Star kind of players that they named, supposedly, you see so much more wins, so much more consistency during a mid-game to late game push and stuff like that, just because you have the right players in the right position to carry the game. And that's a little small thing. I mean, a lot of teams can learn from that. I can see like Absolute Legends NA, they rely on Robert Exley a lot because he's a really, really strong player, and it really works out in the later run, just because when you have a strong player in a strong position to carry a game, and say it's a really bad time for you, a really bad time as in the mid game to the early game, you have that strong player carry for you, you really, really have a good advantage in the later runs. Like over here with Shy was beating out a 2v1 with the tower dive, and they added Shen to the top over there. But Shy probably still going to get away with the thing because he's going to leap straight right to a minion. But that is just a lot of just high level play right there to actually think about the notion of who's their top player, who they want to get, and who they're going to try to save out / feed up to. And right when I say that, is a tie eats my words and says, Shy is pretty tasty right there. Surprise, Shy is pretty tasty. But that's like one of the notions of high level play. I mean, the other notion for Koreans at least / Americans are adopting to it a little bit as much as well as the European scene. The lane swap play of Invictus Gaming / of Zuber Frost and such like that. It's a really interesting notion. You want to you send up your top lane over to bottom lane to top lane, whatever, or vice versa to mid lane, such like that. Bottom lane is pretty much the notion of the roamers to push down a solo lane. So you want to push down turrets to get that as soon as possible within the 5 to 7 minute mark. That's pretty much the kind of the goal for a lane swap if you're the ones that are controlling it and aggressing onto it. For Invictus Gaming though, for the people that oh no, not Invictus Gaming, Zuber Frost, the people who are actually trying to save themselves from the lane swap, what you want to do is just protect as much as you can and try to trade off and get the first tower before the actual other team get the first tower. So for Zuby Frost, like they had a 2v1 at bot lane, they wanted to push as hard onto the PDD player / the driving the 4th player over there and actually get the tower as soon as possible. But unfortunately for not, Invictus Gaming had a really good strong aggression in the early game, which actually led them to a really, really strong mid game. And really that is one of the notions of the lane swap that really, really hurt. I think it hurt the game of League of Legends in general just because it makes it such a faster game, but it changes and innovates a game even more just because, with a lane swap you get that 20 to 25 minute game. Plus you get that really, really strong aggression in the jungle when they contest for Dragon, and then there's a lot of action that really happens, and I really like to see that for sure. Really also quickly for the lane swap, yeah, it's kind of difficult to say that 2v1 over top lane is a good thing, because with that people over at top lane, you actually don't have control over into the Dragon Pit area, because bottom lane usually you have 2v2 over there, right? And you'll have a good amount of wardage and stuff like that. For a 2v1 lane, for the person who is the one person down there, usually the top laner usually doesn't buy too many wards. You probably buy 1 or 2 per se. Definitely 1 at least for the river or the tri-brush over top lane usually. But if you're just buying the same amount into the consistency of your build and stuff, generally speaking, you would only probably ward out over by the Dragon Pit area, near the Dragon Pit area, but not like inside the Dragon Pit area, just because you want to get the most coverage without spending more money on wards. And that's just a usual thing with top laners as well. And So with that, plus you do have the 2v1 lane over bottom lane, so you can actually have your ward denied as well. It's just a lot of things that can happen with that dragon control. And again, in League of Legends, the control of a map is so important. In any MOBA, in any RTS, the control of a map is so important in the game of League of Legends as well as any other game. So you really, 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 have to hone in on that and have to take control of that as well. That's why, I mean, I'm a fan of 2v1-ness, the lane swaps and stuff like that, but I'm not really a fan of it if you are attacking into it. I'm a fan of it if you're defending, because it's a lot easier to have a defense more than it is to attack into it. But for not, a lot of teams have not really figured out how to beat out a lane swap. So right here we have, at the 12-minute mark, Zebrafrost already lost their mid and first top and mid towers. They're going to go rotate the bottom and try to finish it up as well. And once you have that much of control plus the wards over onto Invictus Gaming side, you'll have so much control of this game, and you can push down anything, and you can just control anything. And I mean, that's just generally how the game is going right now in League of Legends. The meta shifted where, it was all about controlling kills, controlling buffs. Now the game's more about controlling towers and controlling huge sections of the map. And with that, Zebrafrost / IG / every Asian team was like really ahead of it. And now American teams are, switching over. And now European teams are like switching over, thinking about it as well. I mean, you can see it with CLG EU. They can control the map pretty well. Plus, they usually have really good late game teams. Cough, cough, 70-minute games. But in general, everyone's adjusting to it. But the Asian teams, Oceanic teams / Guardian teams are really, 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 really good about it. So I won't actually go through the whole replay of the game because it's a really long replay / it's a game that you guys should watch because it is one of the best games overall in general. But I want to just tell you, how is Invictus Gaming getting ahead and how Zebrafrost is getting ahead. Right now, Invictus Gaming, we're at the 14-minute mark. We see a lot of just damage all around in the map. You see the wardings over in the map where the blue brush, pretty much, or the blue golems are getting warded out. They have control of that top side jungle. They're trying to get control of the bottom side jungle, but they're not really doing it so much with the Wraith brush getting warded out. But since they have control of this top brush jungle, they can control blue buff. They can control top laner Shy to not have as much as well. So I'm liking that kind of aggression, and that's kind of what Invictus Gaming is going for, especially since you already have 2 towers down. I mean, it's a general notion. Once you have something down, you want to control more of it, and once you push down to the nexus, you win the game. Usually, that's kind of how it goes. For Zebrafrost right now, I mean, the biggest thing about lane swap is that usually you're not farming. Like on the middle lanes are supposed to be farming. Top lane / who's at bottom lane can't really farm as much because you can harass 2v1. Vice versa, the bottom lane that's over top lane is harassing so much onto 2v1 that they're not going to be farming as much per se. So you're going to be the one who has the defender's advantage. The defender's advantage is so key and so important that you get as much as you can out of this about 7 to 10 minutes. We're going to be taking so much harass and such like that. You do see engage over here at bottom, but I don't think Woong is going to get out. Yeah, Gunwon gets taken out from Zhao, and then Mad Life gets really harassed down, but he's not going to get killed. But in general, a Zebrafrost, what they need to do is just farm up and get ready for that mid game to late game push. And unfortunately for now, I was supposed to talk about the picks and bans and stuff like that for this game. Zebrafrost has such a great late game. You already have Shen with the global presence. You already have Gunwoo with his global presence with that True Shot Barrage as well. You already have this disruption of Mad Life. You already have this disruption of Shy as well. That's really important that you kind of note that if you're going to go for a lane swap, or if you know that the lane swap's going to be coming, you want to have that mid game and late game really secured for yourself, and that's why Zebrafrost is where they are. It's really cool. And yeah, in general, I really think that both teams in general should have been like the finals pretty much. Zebrafrost and Invictus Gaming, especially what they showed off, was really good. And unfortunately for not, one of them had to go. and I won't say which one was, but you know, that's just how it is. And in this game particularly, just one or two lapses of, you know, communication between the teams really changed the game to one side's favor. And I won't actually spoil the game, and I will give you the link afterwards if you guys are watching from the VODs, from the YouTubes. I'll actually link it in chat room right now. But yeah, I mean, it is a very important thing that in a team game of 50 minutes or plus, or 40 minutes or plus, like CLGU versus World Elite, there's a lot of games like that, or in just in general in a 20-minute game, 30-minute game, it just takes one or two kind of mistakes, one or two little build orders that change the game into the favor of one or two teams. And that is part 1 of the episode of The First Blow. It is L3 IRD, and we are going to be taking a little bit of break, probably like a 3 to 4 minute break, and we'll be right back talking about everyone's favorite,